Good morning, everybody, from Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, and our hearts. It was on this square that in 1955 the army decided to drop some bombs, killing some hundreds of innocent civilians. That was the Argentine army, not a foreign one waging war on Argentina. In front of me is Casa Rosada, the Argentinian presidential building. It is the building from which Madonna sang for Argentina not to cry for her. And it is also the building where those responsible for the well-being of Argentina, or the not so well-being, come and do their 9 to 5. And the amount of barriers, man, is spectacular. Look at this. It makes you wonder why the presidential palace needs so many barriers. It reminds me of the visit of Polish journalist Richard Kapuczynski in China. China. In Beijing, when he realized the effect that the Great Wall had on the Chinese society, you know? So according to Kapuczynski, the Great Wall that was designed to protect whoever was on the inside from the dangers of the outside, it was the same wall that basically isolated them completely from the voices and the problems and whatever was happening outside of their enclosure. Just saying. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Great Britain. Now let me show you what the hell it's called. Let me show you this. What are you telling me, man? There's nothing that screams more Great Britain than a statue of Maggie. The same Maggie that nearly destroyed our city of Liverpool. These here are the Falkland Islands, or the Islas Malvinas, as the noisy neighbors in the west call them. Look at this. It's the memorial for the soldiers and the Marines that lost their lives in the Falkland War, and all the poppies in grateful memory to those who gave so much. And here you have the names of the fallen. Look at this, man. William brothers, right? Up there as well. In front of us is the city of Stanley, and yes, it is a city, although quite small. Check this out, man. So these are mussels, right? You can't imagine how many of these horrendous seagulls, like this one here, are actually picking the mussels, and they are throwing them from a great height in order to break them, you know? I had at least 3 of them landing literally centimeters from my head. Anyway, let me show you this. This is the Falklands. I mean, look how close to Antarctica it is, man. As for the United Kingdom, it's all the way up there. Like 8,000 miles away up there. What a magical atmosphere, man. Today's vlog will be a potpourri of filmings I made here and in Argentina. And I chose to do like this because the Falklands / Islas Malvinas are the perfect symbol for this failure, man, for this disaster that is the Argentinian political scene. I will tell you that, though, I am so grateful that there's no wind. You can't imagine the struggle with the wind here. It's sweeping our lives into desperation. Yeah. It's clearing up. We have the sun. And we also have a car. Just look at this sun, man. Happy days. I cannot state enough how important it is to have a sunny day and no wind. Our first abandoned military vehicle. What a relic, isn't it? A lot of poo on the side. I wonder if it's British or Argentinian. There are some colors though. I mean, look at this. It's blue, white and blue. Could it be Argentinian? It's Land Rover. Did the Argentinians have Land Rovers? Here it writes in English. I'm not sure what this is. It is, however, our very first relic from the Falkland War. The Falklands, or the Malvinas, you choose how you want to name them, were discovered, wow, it's quite bumpy, back in the 1500s by the British. And as the British like to remind everybody at any given moment, they did leave a plaque at some point, a plate, you know, of ownership. I have to ask around if this plate is anywhere to be seen, man. The British didn't find them very interesting, so they left. Then came the Spanish, who also left. Then came the French. Look at this. Port Louis, private residence, entry by prior arrangement only. Oh, flipping hell, man. Yeah, so we're not entering. Crazy, man. The French were the first settlers, and at some point the French would own the eastern part of the islands, essentially where we are now, and the British would own or settle the western part of the islands. That was a funny period in time because apparently they didn't know of each other's existence. At some point, the Spanish paid off the French to go. They approached the British to basically hand them over the rest of the islands. The British said no. The British didn't give a rat's ass about the Tordesillas line. You know, the line that the Pope drew on the map to handle half of the world, the known world back then, to Portugal and the other half to Spain. It appears that the Falklands are in the Spanish part of the Tordesillas line. There came a moment that the British did lose interest in the islands, and they did leave them to the Spanish control. Also, Darwin was here, Charles Darwin, with the Beagle. So let me read this, man. I mean, I actually made a print screen of what Darwin said. I found it so funny. Miserable islands have been contested by France, Spain and England, and they were left uninhabited. The government of Buenos Aires then sold them to a private individual, but likewise used them as old Spain had done before, for a penal settlement. England claimed her right and seized them. The Englishman who was left in charge of the flag was consequently murdered. A British officer was next sent unsupported by any power, and when we arrived, Darwin with a Beagle, we found him in charge of a population of which rather more than half were runaway rebels and murderers. Big up Darwin, man. My point being in all of this that for many odd years the islands didn't really present any significant interests to many ethnicities. Look at this thing in the middle of nowhere, man. Like, why? Number 38. Rosebery Avenue. Hackney, Dalston, Islington, Rosebery Avenue, Bloomsbury, Piccadilly. Flippin' hell. It's a proper old school double-decker. A London double-decker, man. And good old Stanley down there in the distance. How cool is that? For my Argentinian friends, it's probably not cool at all, but
After the wars for independence, what we now know as Argentina was born, and they considered these here islands as basically their colonial heritage. Everything that was close to their newly found land that previously belonged to Spain, now that the Spanish left, was essentially Argentinian. They sent gauchos to work the land, to begin farming. I think it was 13 years later that the British came back here with a vengeance. And the story is quite interesting. Remember, here we are very close to Antarctica. Let's have a look how cold it is. It's cold. Yeah, it's cold. There are some very big fish, whales, essentially, mammals, that surround these here islands. So, whale hunting ships, mostly from the United States, from America, were coming down here to hunt the whales. Now, the local gauchos were very hostile to that, and there were frequent skirmishes. So what happened was that the American whalers essentially collaborated with the British, and they reached an agreement. They said, okay, let us fish here, and we will totally support your claim to the islands. With that deal being struck, the British essentially invaded the islands and took over. The Argentinians never forgot about that land, and this was essentially the beginning of what we know as the Falkland/Malvina dispute. So down there you can actually see a very big open space. That is the cemetery of Stanley. I actually went there the very first day that I was here. The weather was also good, but the wind was the stuff of nightmare. Let me show you this part of the footage now, because it does play a vital role in our story, man. Here in this cemetery you can actually find the graves of the first Britons to have come and settled here after they managed to bloodlessly kick out the first Argentine settlers, the gauchos, that came here in the early 1800s. So this memorial is actually the memorial for the fallen in the First and Second World War. And have a look at the sword on that cross. Now let's see. Let's check years. I think these people were the first generation, or some of them probably the direct settlers back in the early 1800s. Look at this, John Rogers Rood, manager of the Falkland Islands Corporation, much respected, died 17th October 1864. This guy was definitely one of the first settlers here. When there is a community, when there are essentially people who have buried their dead in this here ground, there is not much to discuss about. And this, I guess, is the major argument of the British side regarding the Falklands. We have a community here that doesn't want to hear anything about being under Argentinian rule. So picture this out. The Argentinians claim that first of all, the Falklands are, the Malvinas, are colonial heritage, and they kind of make a very strong argument, and they also accuse the British of essentially invading the islands in 1833 and kicking out the gauchos. Now, another argument that the Argentinians make is that in 1813 there was this English captain who asked permission from the Argentine government to come and fish around the islands. For the Argentinians, this is another proof that even the British back then considered the islands as being Argentinian. Now, for years and years to come, Argentina as a country was, of course, a developing project. Remember, the end of the 1800s saw Argentina as being one of the richest places on the planet.
Was Argentina ever really rich? The answer is that a handful of people were rich.
You know, this entire immigration period started with all the influx of essentially Europeans who were coming to Argentina to become workforce.
However, it was exactly these immigrants that brought with them all the ideas that they had picked up in Europe. So that was the moment when the left-wing ideas, anarchist, communist ideas came in Argentina, ideas that would themselves send the oligarchs into, I don't know, the seventh dimension.
And the most pressing issues for the country back then were not exactly the Malvinas, were not exactly the Falklands. It was to essentially gain as much money as possible from the commerce of meat, wheat, soya, corn, you name it, whatever the pampas were able to produce. The 1900s came, then the Great Depression came, which was a significant hit for for Argentina and its economy. And in order to regain some financial balance, they actually made significant deals with the British in terms of profitable commerce from Argentina to the British Empire. Now, as you can imagine, while these things are happening, you can't ask for good deals and at the same time demand the Malvinas back.
Are you cold, dear? Is it the Falklands or is it the Malvinas? What do you think?
The significant actions started in 1965. Argentina finally went to the United Nations and they said, okay, what's going on? So we have these islands, it's our colonial heritage. The British invaded 100+ years ago and they have a settlement now and they have a local community, and most importantly, they take advantage of the islands financially. Remember, these islands are packed with sheep and the commerce of wool is skyrocketing in these islands. The United Nations did what they do best. They acknowledged that there is a dispute. I mean, what the fuck, man? When is somebody going to make a decision based, I don't know, on whatever laws they exist? I don't know the laws, you know? But it seems that Argentina did have a point. The United Nations acknowledged that there is a dispute and an endless discussion began. For 17 years, these discussions ended with a war. So imagine Argentina and the United Kingdom chatting about the Falklands without essentially producing any major developments. The Argentinians noticed that the Brits were taking full advantage of the resources, essentially wool. They complained to the United Nations. The United Nations were briefly mad at the UK and told them to stop doing that. And the UK said, yes, we will stop, but went on doing this anyway.
The concept of Malvinas Argentinas back in Buenos Aires, it's everywhere. It's in the stadiums, it's on tattoos, it's on the walls, literally every other corner. It's on buses. Flags, banners, you name it. Malvinas Argentinas is the only thing that the Argentinians agree on. Argentina is a very polarized country, you know. They tend to see the extremes. And this is actually a very easy thing to deduce if you have a look at how the governments alternate each other, you know. Every government that replaces the previous one has the tendency to totally change everything the previous did. There is no concept, okay, the other guys also did something good, you know. The Argentinians are vocal. I mean, they have an area in Buenos Aires that's called Malvinas, you know. They have a stadium, the Old Boys Stadium is called Estadio Malvinas Argentinas. So look at this, this is a very, very small little pitch of SF Villa Liniers. Even they have a map of the Malvinas over there.
And it's amazing how many in Argentina consider the success of the World Cup in 1986 as revenge for the Malvinas. This is one of the British helicopters, I think, that crashed down. In order to address the issue as it deserves, I also went to the Malvinas Museum, which is crucially situated in the same area as the ESMA, the military school that functioned as the detention, torture and extermination center of the group of people we call the disappeared, los desaparecidos. And this is a very important issue, man. So those of you who watched the San Lorenzo video heard me talking about the mothers of the disappeared, the madres of Plaza de Mayo. I will show you my visit to that detention center, man, because I have never seen such honesty, you know? The moment you actually read that sign, it's a slap on the face. These words are essentially a slap on the face, and well done to the Argentinians for having the courage to say them, you know? Many others don't. Remember Spain? Spain doesn't even want to remember about the Franco era. Here's the footage. Look at this sign. First of all, it says memory, truth and justice. Here used to function a clandestine center of detention, torture and wow, exterminio. Exterminio. I don't think I need to translate this. So look, the place itself is this building here, which is a museum. And yeah, depending on your level of Spanish, you can understand what was going on there. Yeah, what stuck to my mind was the memory of some of the prisoners who were set free. They all remember this lower piece of wall where they would bang their heads. It was very low. I mean, I nearly bumped my head. And they would remember an elevator also, which would be used to basically carry them. But what's beyond comprehension is the women who got pregnant in that building, and the fact that their babies were then illegally, of course, yeah, given to adoption. Look at all these faces, man. So these are the people whose mothers gather every Thursday in Plaza del Mayo. There you have it, man. Short Skyvan SC-7. A plane like this was used for the flights of death. The flights that all these kids were thrown from in the Rio de la Plata, in the River Plate. I don't know if any of you have been to Auschwitz, but this gives Auschwitz vibes. And there is a difference to Auschwitz, you know. At Auschwitz you have to follow a guide, which kind of, yeah, transforms it into a real museum. Here you walk alone, and when you walk alone, it's pure emotion, you know. It says here, he remains desaparecido, he remains not found. It doesn't say he's dead, you know. ¿Dónde está Santiago? Where is Santiago? Good question, isn't it? And over there it says the house of our children, founded by the mothers of Plaza de Mayo. The house of our children. So it's obviously a school now. And the sheer thought that the junta tried to balance this with the Malvinas is disturbing, to say the least. It says here, home for identity. And it doesn't say mothers of Plaza de Mayo anymore, it says grandmothers. Abuelas. Let's get out of this place. Initially there is the emotion, you know, in this area, but yeah, it feels ugly right now. The same dictatorship that kidnapped, detained, tortured and exterminated almost 30,000 young people, young Argentinians, the same dictatorship who did that, some years later decides to invade the Falklands to regain popularity. My brain cannot grasp this. I mean, really now. Yeah, look at this. Second engine. So the crash happened there, and this ended up here. Goodbye, helicopter. Yeah, it's interesting to see the reaction of the intelligentsia, man. People who gave their everything against the dictatorship. My favorite one, Julio Cortázar, Ernesto Sabato. Even these people would get on the street to protest for the Malvinas. It didn't matter that the dictatorship was still in charge. The Malvinas issue in the collective subconscious was one of vital importance, no matter dictatorship or not. And this is something that I find really, really interesting. So when the battle finally ended and the British were the victorious party, they actually came to realize what kind of force they were facing, you know. The morale of the Argentine soldiers was sub-zero. And even if you have a greater force than the enemy, it's impossible to win. The Argentinians call them heroes. I mean, to me, they are just the victims of the dictatorship, man. I mean, equally victims as they disappeared, you know. So I stopped the car to show you these massive fields of stones, man. I mean, all the way down there. Look at this. All that. It was all that essentially the British soldiers needed to pass through in order to get towards Stanley. So this would be the place, man, that the junta decided for Sergio from Paraná or Carlos from Jujuy to come and rest forever. Soldado argentino, solo conocido por Dios. This is the unknown soldier. These are brought by the families, I would guess. This one has a t-shirt on with the Falklands or the Malvinas on it. Aguirre. Whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Aguirres. Is this 5 brothers, man? Can you do you really mean that these were 5 brothers? And remember, right? These people had as their officers literally the same officers who were back at Buenos Aires at the detention centers, you know, at ESMA and the others. Those were their officers here also. Son y serán siempre Argentinas. Madness. Okay. What are you telling me, man? Sunset at the Falklands. I never even hoped I would see something like this. And did you flipping see those penguins up there, man? What's going on? It's such a glorious end of the day. I cannot believe it. On this island, so close to Antarctica. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Does this open somehow? Oh. Interesting. We are locked in the room. We cannot escape through the window. Let's go see the penguins. So this is disinfectant?
Yes.
All right, we are clean. ¿Todo bien? ¿Cómo estás? Or should I speak in a Northumbrian accent? How are you, dear? They are so tiny, man. So this entire hill is actually packed with penguins, and very small ones. And look at him going. This is so crazy. So this is where the penguins essentially live, right? In those holes. What a spectacle, man. This is crazy. So this particular colony, the Gen 2 colony, has been severely hit by bird flu. And according to our friend Christina down there, the entire colony is very limited in numbers at the moment. So one of them looks very, very sick. And the other one is there, I guess, for its goodbyes, right? And you see a lot of skeletons on the sand, a lot of deceased penguins. What are these? Look at these. Look at these monsters. Flipping hell. I think these birds feed on carcasses. I think they are scavengers. Wow. More of them feed on carcasses, I guess. So, when we are at home, relaxing on the sofa, listening to the news, you know, we hear about bird flu, right? And bird flu is this, how should I put it? It's like a concept in our head, right? And you come here and you see all those dead penguins and the scavengers eating their carcasses. It's weird. Wow. It's weird. It's nature, I guess, but still. So it's so weird that these people actually play with the sea lions. Okay, he's taking photos, right? But still, he kind of provokes them to attack him for fun. We are weird, man. I mean, humans are weird. Like, why would you want to do that? I don't get it. Good morning. Today we're not so blessed with the sun. We are still, however, with the no wind situation, which is a huge victory. The final chapter of this year's vlog is none other than the current president of our beloved Argentina. Fuera Netanyahu, el sicario de Trump. Milei cómplice de genocidio. The guy who managed to fire some 10% of the public sector and pretend this is a victory on the fight against inflation. The same guy that managed to drag his own voters into a cryptocurrency scam. Allegedly. Can you believe that, man? I mean, who does that? And all that while at the same time his very own sister is allegedly involved in a major corruption scandal. During my stay in Buenos Aires, I could literally see small protests almost every day.
Right, so I don't know if you could read on the phone, but this was a small protest on Milei's actions. You know, Milei is trying to reduce the state in order to keep inflation down, and because of that the public sector is suffering. We are still talking about people, right? People with jobs and families. So yeah, it's a difficult situation, man. I mean, the banks love Milei. They absolutely love him. He is already a success story, you know. But the people, I mean, reducing the state to means money, means a lot of people lose their jobs.
Acá están, son los hospitales, son los estudiantes, son las universidades, es la cultura. La casta se llama, pero en definitiva, esa casta que hoy
So this is dedicated to the only president which was capable to demonstrate that everything that we were taught at school could be truth. And that is Raúl Alfonsín. Amazing. Raúl Alfonsín. Because this guy is my personal favorite man. Let's pay our respects to Raúl Alfonsín, Presidente de la Nación, 1983-1989. Alfonsín is important because he took over Argentina right after the disaster that was the dictatorship of the 76 to 83. Alfonsín literally had the impossible task to restore somehow Argentina. He failed. And nobody could succeed in that. But yeah, he was the first decent man to take over after the criminals of the dictatorship. Look at those sea lions down there. They are essentially the same sea lions that those pesky tourists were messing with the other day. What a thing, man. Tourism, mass tourism in the Falklands. What a disease. Let me show you the crest of the Falkland, man. So you have the Union Jack, you have the sheep, the symbol of the local economy. The boat of the first explorers, I guess, and this desire the right, which I have absolutely no idea what it means. Desire the right. Let's desire the right. Now, Milei, being a very vocal friend of Donald, he is currently enjoying the support of Donald. The US bailed Milei's government out with $20 billion, man. Like, who does that? A bailout that is, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not a financial expert, far from it. But I don't see any kind of success in this operation. At some point there will be elections, and the next president of Argentina will give subsidies all over the place and boost the inflation to 1,000%.
Milei is seeking for the Malvinas a Hong Kong type of deal with the British, something that the local Falklanders don't really want to hear about. Today we are living.
Are the Falklands or are they the Malvinas? I have absolutely no idea about that. I'm not entirely sure who's right and who's wrong, to be fair. Would the people in Falklands be happier under Argentinian rule? I'm not entirely sure about that either. Would it be a brutal thing to, out of the blue, force them out of these islands? Definitely. I think the Falklands belong to the penguins, man. I mean, come on now. Although we saw them, they are dying. Somebody asked me the other day if I regretted coming here. You know, the thing is expensive, man. I mean, not gonna lie. Not at all. I mean, it's a vital point. It's a vital place for the story, man. There is no Argentinian story without, you know, picking in these here islands, having an idea what they are about, the Britishness, the feeling of Britishness all over this place. Yeah. And at the same time, the mythology of the Malvinas for the Argentinians, I mean, this is the stuff of legends, of collective legend, you know, Malvinas Argentinas. Anyway, I will leave you now. It's been nice. These, together with this one, 7 weeks of having to do with anything Argentina. I will leave you now. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.